So, as far as the Patriot movement, and that's what LWN is, we are part of many patriots out there searching for the truth and delivering the news like it should be delivered. All right. Good evening and welcome, America and patriots around the world. Welcome to LWN. Yep, we're back. They can't keep us down. I know it's a little bit difficult to find us. I'm glad that quite a few seem to have found us. We've got an email bank that we sent out over 1,800 emails this afternoon once we learned that we were taken down. So if you guys would like to be part of that email, notification system, just send us your email at libertywarriornation.com and we will put you in that email bank. And then when things like this happen, you'll get those emails with all the hyperlinks to get to all the different platforms that we are on. Plus, little tidbits. If we have a special guest coming on or things like that, you guys will get that email, let you know ahead of time who may be coming on. So thanks for joining us tonight. It's going to be an amazing conversation. We got Karen back from the NSA, and she's got a lot more to share with us tonight. And we're going to try really hard to be careful what we say and how we say it, because I've gotten word over the last few days that they, meaning the little red button, is just really not liking what people are putting out there, and they've made it very well known that if you put out any kind of information that they do not like, they will take you down. And so with that, we just we're going to proceed with caution, but we're not going to proceed with fear. So if they take us down again, I'm just going to come back up tomorrow on a different channel. So we'll see what happens with tonight. I think that's about all the house cleaning that I have for tonight. Let me grab a couple of people here in chat. There's a couple people here. With the new channel comes all kinds of new things that I need to pay attention to. Sorry for the distraction. I think I've got most everybody covered. If not, I'll catch you guys before the end of the show. We'll see what happens. All right. Yes, I've got the mods. They should be good to go. I don't see Tammy. In there. So as soon as Tammy jumps in there, I'll take care of her too. Turn my dinger off. It's pretty annoying. There we go. All right. We're good to go. Hey, there's my mom on Facebook with a giant thumbs up. That is, I don't know how she did that, but that's pretty cool. Let me catch. Oh, they won't let me catch that one. Well, thanks for the thumbs up, Mom. Appreciate it. I see a lot of people. All right, let's get started with our guest tonight. I see a lot of people jumping in Facebook too. You can always find us on Facebook for some reason. So we're going to go ahead and just roll with it. Let's say hello to Karen this evening. How are you doing? And how is the weather where you're at?
Oh, you're going to hate me if I tell you. The heat did not make it to Maryland. Today was probably 70s, maybe low 80s.
Oh, that's perfect temperature for me. I know the girlfriend, she likes 80, 90. I like 70 to 80, and I'm already getting hot right now in the house. The air conditioner is running, and it hit triple digits today, and it's not, it doesn't have enough to keep up with the heat. So once the sun goes down, then the house cools down. But this is my last night tonight in this home. About 85-90% moved out. Tomorrow we should be completed, and I'm closing this chapter of my life, moving on. So yeah, everything's kind of in disarray. I still have my system set up. I'm having a hard time keeping up with emails right now, but we'll get back to it here real quick. And it's a pleasure to have you joining us tonight, Karen. I know you have a pretty amazing story and information that people need to hear. And so that's our goal for tonight, is to give you this platform, give you the opportunity to put that information out. And as you're talking, I'll write down a couple of questions that pop up along the way, and I'll ask you a few questions, and we'll just have a wonderful evening. How's that sound?
Sounds great. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I will remind people that I did an interview with you that said basically what I did at NSA and how I found myself in this predicament. So, if you want that kind of detail, go back. But what I want to talk about encompasses numerous people who have been caught up in a government program that should not exist, a government program that basically said it was one thing and it is actually and always was intended to do another. Um, there are about 80 centers around the United States that purport to watch out for terrorists and other things like that. But in 20 years of their existence, they've never once found a terrorist or a terrorist plot, much less stopped one. And Congress has numerous times asked them, what are you doing with the billions of dollars that we're giving you? And they refuse to answer. So, what I'm going to tell you is that they are scrutinizing normal Americans, whether they stand up at a school meeting and say something somebody doesn't like, whether they're a
Mm-hmm.
whistleblower, or on the entirely criminal side, whether somebody knows that, say, Jim Jones is a co heir and his cousin doesn't want him to get half of it. So he reports Jim Jones as a suspicious person, and that person,
Mm-hmm.
it's scrutinized to death. I mean, what happens is that once you're on this watch list, a particular watch list, you are secretly stripped of any and all rights, and you are not told that you're being scrutinized. And all kinds of things are done to you. And what I wanted to what I wanted to address tonight are the three types of setups, if I can get to the third one, the three types of setups that almost every single person who is being scrutinized seem to go through. The very first setup is to arrange somehow to get nanoparticles into you. And a lot of the time
Yeah.
that is done with an operation that maybe you actually needed, and they say, okay, somebody's coming in for this or that operation. In the IV, we're going to put nanoparticles. It'll help us.
Now, hold on just a second, Karen. I think what you have to say is pretty important, and I want to back up for just a minute, because I want the viewers to hear what you first said. Um, when you get put in this category that you're talking about, whether you're a parent going to a school board meeting, whether you go to a rally or you go to a protest on the right, meaning conservative type of protest, um, you're labeled this person. And I just want to touch on the fact that you actually can lose certain rights and liberties without even knowing it. You become suspect or investigated without any knowledge of it. You are there's no privacy, in my opinion. So, how did that get ushered in? I believe that part of that got ushered in with 9/11 and when they created the Patriot Act. Now, I believe you were still serving around that time, weren't you, Karen?
Yes, I worked for NSA until 2010.
Yeah,
And
so you went through that situation, and that's when um, Americans said, "You know what? I'm going to give up a little bit of my liberty for safety," and that is a very, very common theme. Let's roll back to 2020 when a sickness hit our shores, and everybody decided, well, not everybody, but a lot of people decided, you know what? I'm going to give up a little bit of my liberty because they said if I do, it'll keep me safe. Um, those are the things that we're talking about. And then when you start being vocal, like we are here on LWN, it puts you in a whole nother category where they're really got an eye on you from a 30,000 view. And boy, when they got an eye on you, they don't let up. I mean, it's obvious. We got taken down today.
it's horrible. It's basically, the whole thing was a bait and switch. Like I said, there are no terrorists. And one of the reasons I got in trouble at NSA is that I found out that they knew about 9/11 and squelched it. Why would you do that? But anyway, that's another show. Um, I ended up getting fired because of not knowing about that. That came later. But I ended up getting fired for bringing something to the attention of the inspector general he did not want to know about. So anyway, I already went through that previous show, so we're not going to delve into that. But what I have found out is that this program is a Trojan horse. It basically is used to attack decent Americans. I mean, I have a
Hmm.
Facebook where I've got over 3,000 people on it who are also scrutinized for little to no reason. And like I said, we are looking at people who are being scrutinized to death. They're being stalked, harassed, sabotaged. Um, Cars are vandalized. Home is broken into. Things are stolen that either have worth or they're stolen because they obviously have emotional value to the person and they're doing that to hurt them. We've got people whose pets have been maimed, hurt, killed, stolen. I mean, it's just a meanness attack on the people to keep them off balance and just to, I mean, they basically aim to harm people and upset them daily. That's in their own manual, is to upset them daily. So this is
Yeah, that creates such a level of stress that it can really affect a lot of people to where they have a hard time functioning because of all this stuff that you're talking about. Let me jump back in real quick to the nanoparticle conversation because I want to make a couple of comments on that. You also made comment that they go after basically just law-abiding citizens, people who believe in their amendments, people who believe in their liberties and their freedoms. And they're real big at wanting to disarm uh, legal, law-abiding citizens. But yet, we all know if that was to happen today or tomorrow, criminals are still going to have their hands on those weapons. So they're all about that. The Trojan horse that you speak of and the nanoparticle system. We talk about that on Podbean quite a bit with John Estabrooks. And, one of those mechanisms, one of those vehicles that they launched that with is the sickness. And then that relates to the vacation, what we call the vacation here, the stuff that you pump in your arm. That has been proven. So, what you're saying, you're really helping LWN viewers and listeners connect the dots tonight on a lot of the stuff that we've been hearing from different circles, but this is actually coming from somebody who used to work for NSA.
Oh yeah. Well, unfortunately, I had not the vaguest idea that there was a huge criminal side of that
Uh-oh, did we lose you? Did we lose you, Karen? You went red there for a second. So folks, I like I said, she's got a lot of information. She might have to jump out and come back in. Her signal.
organization, and frankly, a
There you
lot of
go.
organizations that are government. All right, sorry about that. I to the chase. I am getting hit 24/7 with electromagnetic weapons because I'm a whistleblower. So it wreaks havoc with the connections that I have by phone and on the computer or iPad. So I apologize. Um, to get back to the nanoparticles, they need to infuse. Uh, the scrutinized people with nanoparticles to enhance the deleterious effect of electronic weapons that they aim at them. And another thing that they like to do to their scrutinized people is also to GPS chip them. And that can be done, again, if you're in the hospital for one or another reason, or they can get the pharmacy to replace your annual flu shot with a GPS shot, which is what happened to me. So I could be followed anywhere, and there was no running, there was no hiding.
Let me
So
ask you this question real quick, Karen. It's not that I don't believe that that is possible. I absolutely believe that's possible. But let me ask you about this thing right here that every person out there holds. Um, it is absolutely GPS capable. We use Google Maps. I find sometimes as I'm looking at my phone, somehow my GPS got turned on because every time I use that system, I always click on the button that says only use once. I never want to leave that thing on constantly, but I find that it always somehow gets turned on and I'm constantly have to turn it off. This also is a tracking device, and I'm sure there are those three-letter agencies out there that is a major tool for them.
oh yeah, I mean, I've learned to leave my phone at home, which is a little inconvenient, or put it in one of those black bags. But before we got to this level of realization, um, these people were GPSing by hand by sticking chips into you any way they could so they could find you within a few inches of wherever you were because they needed that to target you with electronic weapons. And they can do that to you in a crowd of people, and very few people will feel anything but you. It depends. I mean, I've been hit with this when I was with some other person, and if that person has a similar brainwave frequency, they'll get a headache. If they don't, they won't feel it they'd have to be with me for a week, maybe to start to feel it. So they are precisely honing in on certain people, and the precision and the covertness of it makes it difficult to believe somebody who says, I have to leave now because they're hitting me and I can't be here anymore. So people around them generally don't know or feel it, so they have not the vaguest idea what this person is talking about, and have problems believing them. But I mean, these electronic weapons can spray an entire town, spray a group of people, or hit only one person. It depends on the purpose, and it depends on the intensity of that type of weapon too. So they need to take the scrutinized people and enhance their ability not only to track them, but to hit them and make them have pain from these weapons. Um, so that is the first setup. They can get you into the hospital where they have complicit doctors or nurses or something like that, and you can come out with more than you walked in with, shall we say. So
Okay,
that's
so let me pause you for just a second, Karen. I want to address what you just said. The last sentence. You said it can make you sick enough where you have to be forced to go to a clinic or a hospital where doctors or staff could be complicit. Now, I know there's somebody out there listening right now going, "Oh, come on, whatever. You guys are so full of it." Are we? Let's talk about the sickness that came from China. Let's talk about how many doctors in the last 24 months have been nothing but complicit. All right. And their staff. They have they pushed this medical tyranny on us. They have pushed mandates, lockdowns. They have forced people to take this stuff or they lose their jobs. So don't think for one second what Karen is saying is not true because it's absolute truth. And we've seen it for the last 2 years. She's ran into this for well over a decade or longer. So don't think for one second that these doctors could not be complicit because I've actually had a guest on from, I believe it was Connecticut, and she came in and said that she worked in the medical field, and that the doctors around her were receiving email letters from a certain administration, and that administration told them exactly what they were going to do and not going to do. And I believe her, and I believe Karen. Go ahead, Karen. Uh-oh, she froze up on us. We lost Karen. Karen. All right. So she'll bounce back in just a second, folks. Here she is. I just want you guys to realize that there's more to all of this than what we're being told. And these people, like Karen, are coming forward and they're whistleblowers. They're putting out the truth. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, sorry, I had to go outside. They're hitting my house such that it is breaking up the cell phone ability to work. So I'm outside working. Well, like I said, the thing that you put in your arm that is mimicking what they've already done to a lot of us is also the fact that they had taken some of us, and I call us the baby test. They arrange car accidents. They to get us in the hospital.
Uh-oh, we're losing you, Karen. I'm writing down a couple of the questions that you guys are putting there in chat because I think there's some good questions popping up in chat. So I'll get to a couple of your guys' questions as we have this conversation with Karen, and she's having a hard time having good cell service here for some reason. Is it machines? It very well can be. I don't doubt that for a moment. These guys have the capability of really just making some people's lives very difficult. And we've heard more than just one story coming from that department. Go ahead there, Karen.
Hey, again, I must have walked through a beam that dropped the call. But anyway, they have ways to get you in the hospital. Here's one particular way. There's something called a raven's claw that is made by Raytheon, and you can adjust that piece of technology to hit somebody's organ depending on the frequency of that organ. The way they got me into the hospital to put nano in me was to make me think that I had a kidney stone. I've never had kidney stones, but I had pain so bad I had to go to the emergency room. And what did they do? They gave me an IV to help with the pain, right? And then they took an x-ray, and the doctor came in and said, well, here's your x-ray. You have a kidney stone. It should come out in a few days. Don't worry about it. And he said, oh, I see you have had an organ removed. And right then and there, I said, no, I never have. I said, can you be, yep. So I said, can you be born without that organ? Knowing full well you couldn't. He said, no, there's no way. He said, so this is not your x-ray. I said, correct. So go back and find my x-ray. He couldn't find my x-ray because there was no kidney stone. And the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months, did I pass a kidney stone? No, it was only to get me in the hospital to get nano in me. And when I got back, the directed energy weapons they were using on me every day were intensified. That's because nano catches, it doesn't pass through you, nano catches the directed energy weapons and burns you with it. So that is why they want nano in us as a control mechanism, so that when they use these weapons, you are really in a world of hurt. Otherwise, like I said, I had my brother stay with me for about a week. He did not, and he of course had no nano and no chips, and he did not feel anything for several days. And then he said, oh my God, my teeth are hurting. I said, yes. He said, those are the weapons? I said, yes. So he understood finally what I was talking about. So the first thing is a medical.
Let me ask you this question, Karen, and you're getting a little choppy there for just a minute. But when I have John Esterbrooks on Podbean and Stephen H, and we talk about nanotechnology, the nanotechnology is to complete circuitry in your brain. Do you believe that as well? Do you have information that you can share with us on that?
I believe it, but I cannot give you any proof of it. I was not a technician at NSA. I basically wrote reports, like journalists do, except top secret reports. But I do believe it because the nano does enhance. Some people have reported that nanotechnology put into them has self-assembled. There was one woman who said her ophthalmologist said there is a device inside your eye I have never seen before. And she said, well, can you take it out? She said, not without destroying the eye. I have no idea about this technology.
Wow. Wow. That is a little spooky for me. I don't get. I'm not afraid of much. But if I went to the doctor with issues like that and they told me something like that there's some type of particle in your eye like that, I definitely would start asking a lot of questions, like I'm sure you did at the very beginning as well, Karen. I'm sure you were beside yourself trying to figure this all out.
Well, you're in disbelief. You're in absolute total disbelief that not only is your government acting in a heinous criminal way against you, but that the technology is so advanced that their morals are so low that they would just invade your body.
I got you. I got a couple of questions I want to ask you real quick from chat. Um,
Okay.
one is, what type of bag are you talking about? What that you put your phone in, the little black bag? Um, and this question from Love Pug, she says, ask her if you go to a pain management doctor to get injections for pain and the ability to walk, does those have the nanobots in it as well?
You know, if the doctor is compromised, if you're a scrutinized individual, you're likely on a list and they look and see everything that you do. They listen to every phone conversation. So if you make an appointment to go see your ophthalmologist, they know you're going to be there. They may go and tell the ophthalmologist that they want him to do this, that, or the other. He may say, no, I'm not comfortable with that, but they will threaten him. So it is like being in Nazi Germany, because the people that you try to get normal services from could be threatened or they could be compromised. So it gets
Mhm.
very complex if you happen to have your name on one of these idiotic lists. You're a truth teller, you're a decent person, you can't be bought. You
Mhm.
stood up for the Constitution. You know, that will get you on the list.
And I don't dispute that with you, Karen, at all. I totally agree with you. I'm sure I'm on several lists that they have that I made it to the top of that list pretty quick. So, um, what about the bags that you can put your cell phone in? I know a couple of people made comment on it that they think that they know what that bag is. Can you give us a little bit of information on that real quick?
Well, there are companies that make EMF, electromagnetic field resistant bags, and they will say so. And you can get one big enough for your computer, your tablet, your phone. And it basically blocks all signals. You would have to take it out of that bag to use it. And you would um, theoretically not be able to track anybody with that in their bag,
Is
in
it
that type.
called a Faraday bag? Is it called a Faraday? Because a lot of people are putting Faraday in the chat.
Some of them are indeed called Faraday bags.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. One of the question is, they believe what you're saying, but the question is, how do we stop it? What can we do to stop some of this stuff from happening?
Um, I will tell you that I've written every single governor. I've written to every single congressman, every single senator. And as most people know, most of them are worthless. What
Hmm.
I hope is that when the midterm elections come about, a lot of real patriots will be taking over their positions, and a lot of these dirtbags will be forced out. So once that happens, I think that we'll have a better chance with Congress and the Senate to write them to them and say, we know about this. Knock it off. I mean, I even wrote to the Congressional DEW Caucus, DEW, Directed Energy Weapons. I wrote to them and I said, no matter what these contractors are telling you, they're testing these weapons on innocent people, and it's horrendous torture. It is war crimes. It is crimes against humanity. There have been people who have been burned to death by directed energy weapons.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not one that would trust me writing a letter to a congressman or a senator just telling them to knock it off. I believe there's going to have to be some type of oversight. There are enough of us patriots out there that a lot of us want some of these three-letter agencies and stuff gone. Period. I don't think that they're healthy. I don't think that we need them around. And we are in a fight for our country here, and not if, but when we get our country back. I think a lot of those changes are going to happen. I think a lot of those things that we're talking about today are going to have to be dissolved because a letter for me is just not good enough. These people might tell you to your face, Karen, "Oh yeah, we'll look into it," but the minute you walk away, that goes in file 13. They don't ever think about it again, and it just same as it just continues. So I just don't trust that.
Well, I
What
mean,
else? Go
you
ahead.
can contact the governor and say, I want an audit of the, and if I say the word, the fusion center, and I'll refer to it as a center from now on, I want an audit of it. I hear they are basically using the laws in place for our security to harm us. And what it looks like is that they are doing things like experimenting on people without their consensus, without their approval. And then that type of experimentation really kind of lines the pocket of contractors who are making these weapons, because people are reporting back to them, hey, we hit so and so with this and that directed energy weapon, and it took her 6 months to die. Or it caused blindness or deafness, or, you know, severe heart damage. I mean, they're gathering information on the people that they harm. And like I said, they're using the chips and the nano to help them in their invasion of our bodies. And then they're telling police and other people, oh, just ignore them. They're just crazy people. It's just mass delusion. Never mind that it's happening from Hawaii to Alaska to Maine to Florida and everywhere in between. They just all have mass delusions. They have nothing better to do than get on the internet and just concoct fairy tales. I mean, that's the official position. It's absolutely outrageous and ludicrous, you
Well,
know.
Karen, they've taken it a step further. It's kind of on pause right now, but they took it a step further, where they actually created a government agency for disinformation. Correct?
Yeah, they did. They did, or they tried.
I'm sure I'm on that list.
You can't do a broadcast unless we see your tongue, and if it's not forked, you can't do it.
Hey, that's a good way to put it. As long as you got a forked tongue, you're good to go. But for the rest of us, they definitely use things against us. But I'm not going to let them win. I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm not giving up. It actually motivates me more. I told Tammy this after we did our short little video today, letting everybody know we were going to be on this channel. I said they're actually, and I'm talking to you in chat right now. I'm talking to all of you guys listening. They're actually helping me. And why are they helping me? Well, I could have one channel that's got 20 or 30,000 subscribers on it, or I could have three or four channels that have 20 or 30,000 subscribers on it. So I say keep it coming, because I'm going to keep building and building and building. And for those of you listening right now, you can help us do that by sharing this video out, by smashing that like button to get the algorithm up, and by subscribing to us, because we will not concede. We do not consent. We will not comply, and we're not going to give up. So help us get to those goals, folks. We are at 8.6 subscribers. I'm hoping by the end of the weekend we can smash 10,000. It'd really be nice to just shove this right back in their face and say, you're not going to beat us. So we're still here.
Oh, indeed, indeed. Just in case we don't get to this, the other two setups, like I said, this is the preliminary setup to get the tech in you that they need to viciously harm you. The other two setups are, one, if their goal is not to kill you, or they have failed to kill you, then they will try to put you in an insane asylum. And the stalking, harassment, and all the bizarre things that civilian vigilantes that are being paid by these centers, they're paid in gift cards, launder tax dollar gift cards. Okay. And that was told to me by one of them when I caught him. Okay.
Hmm.
So these vigilantes are told horrible things about you. You're such a horrible person. Gosh, and you're so very clever that we can't get any evidence you've done anything wrong. So we have to kill you. So this is the crap, pardon the language, this is the crap these vigilantes buy into because they want those gift cards. They want
Hmm.
those tax-free gift cards. So, they stalk and harass you. If you report that to the police, then the police either don't believe you and say, "Oh, you're crazy. We've never heard of that before. So you must be crazy." So you discount yourself, you discredit yourself, or the
Hmm.
police are told anybody reporting this, it's a government program. Stay away. Don't let them report anything. Don't keep any record of it unless you're going to basically make them sound insane. So that's the second setup, is that if they can't kill you, then they want to discredit you and they want you in some kind of mental health facility, which usually is a pay for play type of place. The more beds you fill, the more money the state gives you.
Oh, of
Okay. So
course.
business for them. They get kicked back. The other setup is if they can't put you in an insane asylum, then they put you in prison for something ridiculous. And I've had both those experiences. And I have talked to many, many, many people who have had that. It is routine. And I will tell you very quickly, let's see if we can get these two examples in. But the first time I had been in Florida and was getting hit 6 to 7 months with directed energy weapons by the neighbors, and I had traced it back to the center because some of their personnel were in the neighborhood. I saw them going from the guilty houses, and I actually went to the center, told them I was a retired National Security Agency intelligence analyst, and had written them a report on things that I was seeing in that area of town, which led me to believe that there were domestic terrorists there. Technically, I knew they were working for the centers, but I presented it like they just were run of the mill domestic terrorists. They wouldn't take a report. They basically said, get lost. So I had tried we were in an area where the sheriff's department had jurisdiction. So I had tried to send them via email all kinds of documents, all kinds of articles showing them not only do these things exist, but they are being abused. And I had told them, look, I'm in a lawsuit with my ex-employer, and they don't want certain things to be seen. They don't want the lawsuit adjudicated. They're desperate to bury it. And this is what they're doing to me. So it is illegal, felonious tampering with a federal witness, as well as conspiracy to torture and conspiracy to murder. And the sheriff's department, they were complicit, and there was nobody else to go to. And so after sending them all this, they had me. It's called in Florida, it's called Baker acted. So they picked me up and took me to a nut house, and the Florida psychologist who worked there saw me, talked to me 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, and said, "Get out of here. You don't belong here." So he wouldn't he wouldn't put me away. So I got back, and being slightly impish, I sent the sheriff's department an email saying, "This is what happened." He told me there's no reason for me to be here, and I said, "Nice try, guys. Failed."
I'm sure I'm gonna have a nice stint in the old nut house or worse someday too with what we put out. And you know what? That's the course I go through. That's what I go through. One of the questions, Kieran, in chat, which I thought was a really good question, is how do they pick their victims? How do they pick the people that they do this to?
There are a lot of criteria, and you could fit one and get on the list. Number one, like I said, you could just go to a school board meeting and say, I really don't want you to teach my child this. That's enough, because other things that they've chosen people for are even more ridiculous than that. I was a whistleblower. Oh, there's a certain contingency that are whistleblowers. There might be 10% or less that I know of that are whistleblowers. In fact, Bill Binney, who is a famous NSA whistleblower, he is being hit with directed energy weapons now, he and his new wife. Okay, because I've been in touch with them. So you can do something horribly awful like telling on criminals inside the government and be a whistleblower. You can be a
Hmm.
journalist or a podcast person that they just can't stand. Um, you could have property that somebody else with connections wants, whether it's intellectual property or real property or an inheritance, like I said. They will pick out people to test things on that may have a certain race or genetic traits. I heard from a gentleman who is autistic. He said he and his son are being experimented on because of the autism and because of the transhumanists who think that maybe people with autism would make really great robots. So it's
No.
anything,
Wow.
everything. So it's like I said, you can't say, "Gee, I'm just a bus driver. Why did they choose me?" And have other people say, "Oh, that there's no way that they chose you." Yes, there is. Yes, there is because they.
I would say they probably have a good pick from about 80 million Americans
Yes,
that casted a certain piece of paper in November of 2020, a certain direction. I would say they would probably pick from those 80 million people. Are they going to pick from the other side? More than likely not. I would say their focus would be kind of on that general population. If you guys are picking up what I'm laying down.
I think so too. I mean, generally speaking, I have spoken to people on both sides, and they didn't care at first, but I think that they would hone that now because certain people are speaking up and catching on as to what they're doing. And like I said, this is human trafficking in the most sophisticated way possible under the guise of color of law.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. The question keeps popping up. How do we combat this? And I don't know if we've fully answered that yet. What are some of the suggestions that you would have, Karen, on things that if people feel like this is actually happening to them, maybe they have become a target? And I hate saying that word. I told you that's probably not a good word to use. Let's say for people who have been selected, what are some of the things that they might do to maybe prevent some of this?
Um, Now, a lot of people go to the police and try to get help, which is futile. Like I just told you, my experience was I have told people that if you have people go with you and verify that there's nothing wrong with you. They can't pick you up and just, send you off because you said something they either didn't understand or it was code for arrest me now, you know. Um, so if you're going to make a police report, then you take people with you to make sure you come back. And then you get a hold of, if you can, find other people who are in your city because this is nationwide. There's no way that in one town there's one victim. This is a national network that is human trafficking people's neighbors under the guise of that person's so terrible we can't find a crime that they've committed so we have to kill them. So you can do that. You can get try to find several people in your area to write a similar letter or show up at the police station or demand that the fusion centers be audited. I don't know if I would advise going to them and protesting outside them because
We're losing you again there, Karen. Um, so those are some of the things that you could probably do immediately. I'm not a big fan of trusting certain county buildings, I guess I would say. I know a lot of people that feel like this is something that they're being attacked by. They've gone as far, and I know the last time that we had Karen on the show, we talked about some of the stuff that you could put up around your building or in your bedroom on the walls and ceilings. I mean, some people that feel like they are constantly under attack. Rage in the Cage is absolutely one of them. They go and they have put up all kinds of paneling in their bedrooms and in their living rooms and some of the areas where they spend quite a bit of time in there to reflect and repel some of these energy weapons and stuff that they are using. I see John Esterbrooks there in chat, and I hope that Stephen H is listening tonight because Stephen H, he definitely talks about some of this stuff. He has got a lot of research. We talk about parts of this over on Podbean, and if you guys haven't caught that yet, you're really missing out, because John Esserbrooks and Stephen H really bring a lot of really great information to that podcast that we do Tuesday mornings. So I would not miss it, especially if you want some more dots connected. And I see some of the comments John's making in chat. Something tells me he's going to call Stephen H and they're going to have a conversation, and there may be Tuesday's podcast. Probably we'll talk about some of this stuff. I wouldn't doubt it. What's a fusion center? Well, a fusion center are these buildings that they have all over the country where they bring in information. I would ask Karen to probably give us a little more detail than that, but there are quite a few of them across the country. It's basically like a headquarters for certain three letter agencies is how I would put it. And they do a lot of watching, a lot of monitoring in those facilities. And I know for a fact there are quite a few of them across the United States. Is there one near you? I don't know. I would say they're probably strategically placed in a lot of huge metropolitan areas. Like my little hometown here, I highly doubt there's one probably within several hundred miles of me. So I might be temporarily safe, and maybe that should be part of my game plan. Maybe I should be moving around often. Um, so I'm not. Boy, she really disappeared this time. She is gone. But we'll see if she hops back in here in a minute. But I think you guys had a lot of great questions, a lot of great comments there in chat. I know some people don't think that being a whistleblower is a wise decision. Um, that really all depends on your belief system and what you believe is right and wrong, and what you believe um, is something that you should, tell others about. I'm not saying that everybody should be one. If that's not in your wheelhouse, it's not in your wheelhouse. But for some people, they can't sleep at night if they don't tell people what's really going on. And think about this for just a minute. Um, if this was happening to your children or your grandchildren, would you sit idly by and not say anything, or would you fight for them? Um, that may change your mind on being a whistleblower or not. If this is something that was actually happening to somebody very, very close to you, that's innocent, and one of those people that have a hard time standing up for themselves, are you going to sit there quietly and just not say anything because you're afraid of the repercussions? Everybody has choices to make in their life, and sometimes there are consequences for the things that we have to do. I mean, there's consequences for me being on this channel and putting out the information that I put out. I have no doubt that they watch me, and that they pay attention to the things that I say, along with many other influencers across the country and around the world. So that's a choice that I made. I knew from day one that there would be a target on my back. And I knew from day one that I was putting myself in harm's way. But I can't sleep at night if I don't put out this information. So I made that a conscious decision that whatever happens, happens, and I'm willing to pay for whatever it is that they feel like I guess I'm due. So I don't know what happened to Karen. She really just kind of lost all signal. We'll give her a few more minutes here to hop back up. I know she was trying to walk away from the house because she was having problems there. So, yeah, what's the answer, Timber? A lot of things are going to come to light, folks. Some of this stuff that's just now coming out. Maybe this is the first time you've ever heard of this stuff. I'm telling you right now, a lot of it, more and more, is starting to seep out. And your question to me is, well, Mike, how come I don't see it on Communist News Network? How come it's not on Fox? How come it's because they're part of the problem? If you're still watching those media sources, they're never going to report on a lot of this stuff. And actually, just because the Patriot movement is united and we're all out there pushing information, Fox News finally, after 6 months of LWN and many other influencers out there putting out truth about COVID, they're finally starting to tell the truth. Just ask John Estabrooks. He's there in chat. He reported it this week that they finally started really putting out truth on Fox News. Well, guess what? That's 6 months too late. Think of how many people's been hurt in the last 6 months. So things like this whistleblower, Karen, and other people coming forward and telling the truth. It may be it may be years before some of this stuff is put out by other individuals. But guess what? By that time, we're already going to put it out. We're going to be so far ahead of all these guys putting out information that it ain't going to matter if Communist News Network or anyone else finally picks it up and starts telling the truth. Because guess what? You're already going to have the truth. You're already going to know what's going on. They're going to be so late to the party that they're actually going to be, I believe, that lamestream media is going to be obsolete. I believe that they are going to collapse. People are already have stopped watching them in massive numbers. Lamestream media has some of the worst ratings in over a decade. Why is that? It's because you, right now, listening to the sound of my voice, have stopped watching them. You've stopped giving them your time. You're finding people like me here at LWN and other influencers out there across the internet that are putting out the information. And so, yeah, I think it's their days are numbered. They know it. Operation Mockingbird is going to collapse, and all that information that they used against us is actually going to be turned around on them. And they are going to have to pay for the things that they have done to not only just the American people, but, humanity. And there will be justice. I do believe that. Well, I don't know. Karen looks like she's gone. I know that we've got her scheduled to come back on again. That's what Denise told me. So even if we can't finish the show tonight, we'll have her back on and finish the conversation. I'm glad that you guys found us tonight. I know we're up to a little over 700 watching us. So we've got about 100 on Facebook and 600 there on YouTube. I'm glad you guys were able to find us. If you guys could do me a favor, we're building this channel up too. Hit that like button, smash that thing, send that algorithm through the ceiling, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to us yet. We want to crack 10,000 by the end of the weekend. That's my goal. I'd really like to get 10,000 subscribers on this channel before the end of the weekend. That's really not hard to do, especially if you keep hitting that like button. And more importantly, if you share this out, share it out on Facebook, share it out on YouTube, share it out wherever you can. Truth Social, we're on Truth Social. We just cracked 2,000 subscribers on Truth Social, and we share everything over there. Frank Speech is another great platform that we're part of. The Mike Lindell team, a lot of great influencers over there putting out truth. Of course, Rumble is another one of our platforms, and that one is starting to really grow as well. So, this is our battleground, and we're not going to quit. We're just going to change firing position. So here's Karen. We'll see what we can do to wrap this up. Are you there, Karen?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I have no idea when this cut off, but I was just trying to tell people that there are scrutinized people who have been railroaded into mental health facilities for even more severe abuse, and people who have been railroaded into prisons and jails for even more abuse. So those are the three setups. You have to set somebody up medically with technology in them. You very often will find people have had people try to set them up as crazy people, and other people they've tried to set them up as criminals. And some of us are so lucky that they even tried both of them at this, within months for me. But when other people say they have been set up, they have been set up. The police are in on it. The district attorneys are in on it. Certain judges are in on it. Not all district attorneys, but the crooked ones, and they are everywhere. So they need to be aware of that.
Absolutely, and this is the information that we put out. I want to address something real quick. Um, People are probably wondering when they first clicked on the show and saw the title Operation Polar Bear. Uh, Denise and Tammy and I were sitting down trying to figure out what we were going to call this show tonight because we had to be very cautious of what we titled it because I've been dinged for that too for a stupid title. So I decided to call it Operation Polar Bear because it is an operation. This is something that the Black Hats are obviously engaged in, and you know they are definitely selecting a certain group of individuals. And so I threw Operation Polar Bear out there to catch people's attention because this is an ongoing deal. This is something that's been going on for quite a while, and Karen has experienced it for quite some time.
And people need to know, like I said, the people what we're talking about who've been undergoing this for years and years, and it's grown, and it started, it despicably, it started out with older women that they figured had no support group, somebody who either was single, somebody whose husband had died, they were widowed, and they just were picking out people who had zero to no support and maybe zero ability to sue them. So that seems to be a big thing. They are picking out the most vulnerable people in society. Now, in the last few years, I've noticed that they are spreading out to younger women and also to men and younger men. And they also, unfortunately, are not keeping themselves in control, and they are actually harming children in the process. One woman I spoke to was pregnant when she started getting hit with directed energy weapons daily. She lost her eyesight, mine's damaged, and her child was born profoundly damaged. Now, this is a child who grew into a young adult who can do nothing for herself whatsoever.
Wow. That's just very concerning for people listening tonight. And maybe some of the symptoms they've been feeling themselves, and they're curious of maybe they're the ones being targeted. We have some even in our own LWN family circle that feels like that is something that they may be experiencing as well.
Well, if you suddenly get tinnitus, or tinnitus is the way I pronounce it, wrong or right, if you suddenly get it and it doesn't go away, they've locked onto you. If you get headaches like you've never got before and no painkiller helps you, but an anti inflammatory helps you, it's very possible it is a directed energy weapons inflammation headache. And if you see that you're being stalked, harassed, or people around you are starting to mention things in your private life, like, well, I would love to get a Dalmatian myself, but blah, 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 blah. And you just got a Dalmatian, or you expressed a desire to. So what they're doing is they have bugged your house, they have bugged your car, and they're listening to anything, everything to try to try to understand who and what you are and use it against you. So those are directed conversations. It's a psyop, psychological op, and that is absolutely, totally, 100% illegal for our military and our intelligence communities to do to American citizens inside the United States. But then they are breaking so many federal laws. I don't think I could put them all together. I mean, you've got, uh, and there is a executive order. No, there's a 18 usage um, that says that basically you cannot war on civilians in your country. You cannot use weapons of war on civilians. Well,
Yeah.
that's exactly what they're doing. Directed energy weapons are classified as domestic
The
terrorism,
weapons of war.
yeah, and weapons of war, and
Yeah.
mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, because you can use a big enough directed energy weapon to drop dead an entire town.
Wow. Here's a question that was in chat that I'd like to ask you, Karen, as we're wrapping this thing up tonight. And we're looking forward to having you on again. I know Denise sent me a message that said that she's working on that. Um, the question is where do they get the energy for some of these weapons? Is it through satellite? Is it a battery thing? What is it that's in these energies that is the energy source from them?
Okay, look up Nikola Tesla. He was, let's call him the father of directed energy weapons. He
Hmm.
died in New York in the 1940s. He basically was doing research that was out of this world, and I may mean that literally. And when he died, the FBI swooped in and took all of his inventions, all of his paperwork. So he could basically get devices to work under their own power. But what they've done is they've hooked some of this to satellites. They can divert energy from cell towers, and they do have standalone devices. So those would be battery powered, or from personal experience, if they not only harass you in your home, but they have people who are waiting for you to leave the house, because certain people are assigned to you. If Karen Stewart leaves the house and goes to the grocery store, you three people will be in your cars waiting for the signal to go follow her to the grocery store. And if you can, get in behind you or in front of her and hit her with directed energy weapons. And when she's in the grocery store, you park on three sides of the grocery store and hit the entire grocery store with these weapons, in order to keep her from having any type of cellular cleansing from the poisoning that she's getting from these weapons. Now, they don't care if there are people in the grocery store who have infants, elderly people with pacemakers that they can absolutely drop dead. They don't care about collateral damage. They will hit you wherever, whenever they can. Their goal is to hit you 24/7 and drop you dead and make this murder look like natural causes like a heart attack, stroke, bleeding in the brain, which of course I've had bleeding in the brain from these weapons. Or just some kind of natural, oh, I don't know, just natural causes, because they want to disguise the murders using these weapons.
Yeah,
So,
we've read in the paper many a times where certain people at an early age in life, 50s even, 50 years old, 54 years old, who have collapsed from what looks like to be natural causes or a heart attack or stroke. And it's not that I don't believe that people that age can don't have heart attacks and stuff. I believe that, and I believe they can come very random. But some of those things that we've seen are very suspect, especially when you start connecting the dots on who they're associated with or used to be associated with, and some of the projects they've worked on. Those
yes.
are the suspicious ones that I'm talking about. A steel mill worker who dies of a heart attack at 54 years old. Yeah, that is just a freak accident, a heart attack. But somebody who's connected at high levels of government or was going to be a witness in a case or something like that, all of a sudden, has a heart attack or a stroke in their home. I find that very suspicious. And I do believe that there are weapons that they can use to make that happen.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Um, I will say that a lot of people are hoping that some of the legislation that is passed to help the quote unquote Havana syndrome people will help us. But the government doesn't want to admit that there are hundreds of thousands, if not 2 to 3 million of us inside the United States. So they have written that legislation that says you have to be a present day federal worker. So it doesn't even cover me because I'm retired. But what a doctor who does diagnose this for people has said, and I'm not going to say his name because I'm afraid for his life, what he has said is they have written the Havana syndrome down in such a way that he cannot give anybody that diagnosis who is not presently or had been during the attack a federal worker. So he could see me and say, I can't write it down because you're not presently a federal worker, or it happened to you after you retired. He cannot see a civilian and say, well, that's exactly what the diplomats have in regard to damage, but I can't write you up for it because you're not a federal worker. Now, what does where somebody works have to do with any type of medical diagnosis? So they are covering their butts. They don't want to
Yeah.
admit doing to 2 to 3 million of us possibly and more.
Yeah, a whole lot more at times. Well, I appreciate having you on tonight. I'd like to roll in the final thought here. before our time's up. And I think we've had a great conversation tonight. A lot of information. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. Maybe the next time you come on, maybe we could do something like a rapid fire where we just pull as many questions out of chat as we possibly can. We could try to
Sure.
answer those for everybody. But what would you like to leave the audience knowing tonight in your final thought?
My final thought is get the word out. Tell people this is not fantasy. People are not deluded. People do have a lot better things to do than seek attention with this type of thing. But the more people know, and the more that they won't back off, and they say, "Look, you're doing this to us. We know. Stop it." Then their baloney stories aren't going to work. And the more people who know, maybe it'll get to the cops who are basically turning a blind eye, saying, "Oh, it's a federal program." No, it's not. It is taking your oath, and you are spitting in the face of the people you're supposed to protect. Are you a dirty cop? Make up your mind now. I mean, they can approach police departments and sheriff's departments, again, not alone, but as a group, and say, "We know that you're either turning a blind eye to this or you're complicit. Knock it off." And demand that they take some action, because there are laws being broken and they are ignoring them. You can even go to your legislature and say, "We need you to have state laws that mimic these federal laws," because this is going on and police are doing nothing because they need instructions, or they claim they do.
Well, it's a pretty popular theme where these people do nothing for the conservative right, but they seem to let the left get away with everything. So it's pretty popular theme. It seems like nowadays. Here's my final thought for tonight, folks. We really got to listen and pay attention and give people like Karen time on platforms to put their information out. And I just appreciate you guys hitting that like button and sharing her story out for everybody to hear. If you guys like this story and you think Karen's story needs to be heard by as many people as possible, share it out on Truth Social, share it out on any of the platforms that you guys are on and part of. It'll be up on Rumble here within a few hours. You guys can share it out on Rumble as well. But I just appreciate you guys finding us tonight. I know it's difficult at times when we got to hop over on channels. I think we lasted on the last one for somewhere around about 3 months. So not too shabby for as much information we put out for 3 months straight. But Karen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure. And, keep safe, stay safe. And we look forward to the next time that you return to LWN.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell people, because it needs to be told. Thank you so much. You stay safe too.
All right. Thank you, Karen. All right, folks, that's a wrap for tonight. And share this channel out, share it out, hit the like button, subscribe to us if you haven't subscribed to us yet. We will be back tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Ladies of Liberty. Come out and support Tammy the Hammer Nation and Mary Kay. Now, I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow morning for devotions or headline hits. I still have a little bit left to do here to move, and I really need to get it done before it gets blazing hot. So more than likely, there will not be a devotion in the morning or a headline hits tomorrow afternoon. I'll probably just go ahead and take the day off so I can get this all done tomorrow, and then I'll be free and we'll be back on schedule next week. So thanks for joining us tonight, folks. It was a great conversation, a lot of information that we put out there. And just remember, God wins and the best is yet to come.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now. Looking for a sign of disaster, so I can make it there faster. I'm weighing the consequences out. I can see in all directions. It's Now you can blame